All right, welcome back everybody. What we're going to be doing today is starting our lesson on learning to read music, but we're going to make that for guitarists, so it's going to be as easy as possible because we're going to hyper leverage out the wazoo a ton of tab. There's typically two parts in music. There's the notes, right, the A, C, whatever, but there's all these other crazy symbols that I think make learning music very difficult, so we're going to eliminate half of it. We're not going to even worry about the notes. We're just going to be using tab. And then we're going to break down our learning to read music from separate symbols that we're going to be looking at each lesson. In this week's lesson, we're going to be looking at repeats. Just a few symbols. They'll be real easy, pretty straightforward. But what I want to do is listen to the piece of music that we're going to kind of be talking about, so our ears kind of familiar with some of the repeats. So let's go ahead and listen to that now. And by the way, this week, it is Beethoven's For Elise. So let's go ahead and check that out. Okay, so we heard that, and there's obviously a lot of stuff in there that's repeating, right? So that's what we're going to be looking at this week. So again, when you're thinking about learning to read music and you're looking at something like this, don't let this intimidate you, because we are not going to be looking at it from this perspective, and we're going to check that out now in the slides. So let's go ahead and move over to that and check out the guitar tab. All right, so now what we're going to do in this section of the video, looking at these slides, is really break down this tab, right? As guitar players, we're looking at this, we're probably pretty comfortable with it. There's a few nuances, right, with this one and this two thing kind of at the top, and then this thick bar with the dots, right, the repeats. So that's what we're going to be talking about. But what I want to do first is taking a look at these first three bars. What I want to do is really kind of plant these first three bars, the sound in our head. So let's go ahead and just listen to these first three bars in isolation. Okay, so now that we've heard those first three bars, we get a feel for the piece that's going to consistently be repeating. However, when we get into the fourth bar, we've got this one sort of thing on top, and just to the right of it, then we have these two dots with this thick bar, whatever. But we'll also notice in the tab, it's different. This fourth bar is different than what we're seeing in the three bars preceding it. So what I want to do with this bar really quick is, again, listen to this part in isolation. Okay, so now that we've heard that, we need to recognize that as soon as that fourth bar is played, we're going to immediately hit this repeat sign, right? The thick line with the thin line and the two dots. Now, what that is going to mean is the very first time that we play these first four bars, when we first, pick up our guitar and we start playing this, the very first time we are going to play this fourth bar inclusive with the first three, right? So it just kind of extends out. It just kind of looks normal, right? This is what our first iteration through this looks like. We just play the first four bars, no problem. And let's go ahead and listen to that really quick to see where we are in the music so far. Okay, so that's what the first four bars kind of sound like, but we do have to address, what does this repeat symbol do, right? What is this thick bar with the two dots? Well, what that is going to do, if you just ignored it and you just moved on, this wouldn't sound like For Elise at all. That's just not how this piece is played. Instead, what is really happening when you hit this repeat is you actually come back to the beginning. And then you play these 3 bars again, right? So you play bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, bar 4 on the first time. And then the repeat, you only play bar 1, bar 2, and bar 3. And you stop at this 4th bar, this part that's highlighted. So what I want to do now is go ahead and listen to this really quick with a little bit of that repeat in there, but not repeating this 4th bar. Okay, so now that we've heard that, we understand that we've played out to that 4th bar, and then we kind of come back and we play those 3 bars again that we're familiar with. But we didn't play this 4th bar again. The repeat stopped here. And the reason that it stopped here is because this is our second iteration through our playing of our piece of music. So we're not going to play this 4th bar because we only played that on the first one, and that's what the 1 above this bar is telling us. You only play this on the first time through, but what we are going to play the second time through is this 5th bar out here, right? And you could argue that it's the 8th bar, but this 5th bar out here, the second time through, that's what we're going to play. Now, what I want to do is listen to this and see where we are right now. So again, we played bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, bar 4. Then we hit the repeat. Then we play bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, and then bar 5, right? We skip over that first one because we're moving into our second one. So let's go ahead and take a listen to that to actually see where we are so far. Okay, so now that we've heard that and we understand now what is, really going on with this first and the second iteration, you may be thinking, okay, well, after that second one, do I do another repeat, right? Do I come back to the beginning, right? Because this is the repeat of the second time. The first time we did it, we came back to the beginning. So the second time, does that mean I come back to the beginning? The answer is no. And the reason that it's no is because we don't see another thick bar with the thin bar with the 2 dots to the right of the current highlighted 5th bar that we see right here where we have the 2, 5, 4, 2. So there is no repeat, right? That once we hit that, all we're going to be doing is really carrying on with the piece of music. So, we're looking at this, and this is kind of what we played out to so far. This is our repeat section. And after that, we just carry on with the rest of the song, right? So, carrying everything out, we did the first repeat, the second repeat, we heard it, we moved on with the song, right? So let's go ahead and just listen to how that really works out as we progress on to the rest of the piece anyways. We kind of heard this at the beginning, but let's listen to it again. Okay, so that's us pretty much, just carrying on, playing along with the song. Now, I do want to point out one thing really quick. There's a possibility up, I'm looking at the 2 with the arrow. You may see this vertical line towards the end of the 2, and all that vertical line is representing, it's kind of, if the composer's telling you to take a pause before continuing, right? So your piece might be dun, 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 right? There's that pause. Or if that vertical line isn't there, the composer may just be dun, 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 right? There's no real pause. And what professional musicians do when something like that comes up, we just ask, right? Either ask your bandmates or whomever wrote the music or the composer or whomever, hey, with this line missing or here, whatever, right? That's how some of this stuff works, because there is some ambiguity with some of this stuff when you're working with larger pieces. So just keep that in mind. But we've now played on to the rest of the music, right? And it just kind of carries on. That's pretty much it. So as we're looking at what we've put together so far, the tablature should be, pretty straightforward for everybody. This line that I just kind of removed from the end, right? There's a lot more to for release, so that's not the end of the piece. So I'm just kind of removing it here. But we talked about our repeats, right? Now, one thing about the repeats is you have the end repeat and you have the start, right? So when you hit that end, it means go back to the start of the repeat. However, if there is no start indicator, very much like there is in our case, you just go back to the beginning. If the start indicator is there, you go back to that starting point. That's it. Starting point is there, you go to the starting point. The starting point isn't there, you go back to the beginning of the piece of music. That's simple, right? And then we talked about our repeat endings, right? So the very first time we go into the repeat, we play whatever underneath this 1. The second time we do the repeat, we play whatever's under that numeric 2, right? So the first time through, we don't play what's under the number 2. And the second time through, we don't play what's under the number 1, right? That's pretty much about it. And realistically, that's, pretty much all that there is to it, other than, we talked a little bit about this vertical line, and sometimes you might have to ask. But essentially, after our second repeat, because there's not another ending repeat, we just carry on with the rest of our song. So, with all that being said, what we went over, 2 pretty straightforward symbols. Hopefully they were pretty easy for you to look at with tab. We looked at the beginning and the end repeat symbols, and then we looked at the first iteration symbol as well as the second iteration symbol, right? This is all that we were looking at. It's just paying attention to that repeat symbol to go back to the beginning of the music or go back to the start of the repeat, right? But these are the pretty straightforward symbols that we looked at this week, and we're going to continue to do this. So let me know down in the comments if putting in these symbols with tab is helping, or if it's making it worse or whatever. I've never taught, like I said, I've never taught music reading this way, so I don't know if it's working for you guys or not. So do let me know down in the comments. Huge appreciation. And as always, if you've stuck around this long, huge appreciation to you taking time out of your day to watch the videos. And as always, if you're getting something out of it, hit that thumbs up. Lets me know that you're enjoying the videos. And again, I don't charge anything. YouTube doesn't charge anything. It's free. Smash that subscribe. So with that being said, next video, next lesson, I'll be continuing to introduce some of these symbols into tab, so we can get kind of get moving forward to a much larger musical picture. So until then, thanks again, everybody, and take care.